the top of the show, there are 8 million people that look like me and you that have been left out. Well, at that time, it was 12 million of us. So you talking about, if you look at the numbers at that point, you're talking about 45 million people. So you're talking about 38 million people have been ignored. Yeah, 38 million people are being ignored. So this is why we have to come together. This is why we need to live around each other. This is why we need to have those uncomfortable conversations to ensure that these things won't happen. And for the record, when we having those uncomfortable conversations, you check in as a brother or sister or black or African or Nubian or Moor or whatever you want to do, Muslim, Buddhist, Jew, or whatever you want to do. That's how you checking in. But you're going to leave how you got there at the door. Because your faith and your path shouldn't matter. Because if you are who you are and you come from if you come from the north, that's good. If you come from the south, east, west, north, south, east, west, northwest, southwest, east, west, northeast, southeast, it doesn't make a difference what direction you're coming in. Because as I stated last week, you don't have any common allies. You have common issues. So if you don't come together on a common issue, it doesn't make a difference what your background is. And lo and behold, you may learn something about yourself if you actually have a conversation with the person who looks and thinks and acts different from you. And God forbid you have something, like that. But that's another conversation. That's another situation, another conversation. But we have to come together with like-minded people for the advancement of the people who look like you, period. That's it. That's all you need. Come together for the advancement of the community as a whole. And when I say the community, I mean the brothers and sisters who got dropped off in the Caribbean, whether you be Jamaican, whether you be from Trinidad, whether you be from Haiti and those places, South America, Ghanaian, Brazilian, or if you from North America, Canada. See, that's another way to divide and conquer. Oh man, what about reparations? First of all, can we get together and become one nation? As George Clinton said, one nation under a groove. Before we start arguing about where the boat dropped your black ass off at. And if we came together, it wouldn't make a difference. If you got somebody, oh man, the money that is owed to people that look like me and you worldwide. Because how about this? The United States of America isn't the only country that participated in the sale of Africans. 45% of the people that came to the Western Hemisphere went to Brazil. So if you go to Portugal, if you go to Spain, if you go to France, you go to England, you go to Germany, all these nations that owned our brothers and sisters, our ancestors, and say, all of y'all need to give us our money. It will make a difference. But as long as we're separated like a hand, you'll never get anything. So you can, again, you don't have any permanent enemies. Allies in this fight for your emancipation. You have common enemy. And when you know the dudes that are not talking about taking care of you and the dudes that are fighting against the liberation of your community, those are your enemies. And the dudes that are not are your allies. And how about this? Let me give you another tidbit and I'm going to move on. It will be more people that look like you in the country of Nigeria that's damn near on fire right now than are in the United States of America. More Nigerians on earth than black people in the United States of America. Very soon. So, while you keep talking about, I ain't African, you need to make it so when those people are over here, you're allies. And you need to be making sure the people, like, if it was an uprising in England tomorrow, the United Nations and NATO and all those European countries, they'll get together and make sure something stops. Everybody's up in arms about China and Tiananmen Square. When Saddam Hussein gassed some of his people up in arms. But you got a president over there killing brothers and sisters, and I bet a lot of us don't even know what's happening. How sad is that? Because we're concerned with us and we continue to separate and divide. If somebody's kicking your cousin ass, I don't care if it was your father's cousin's daughter, you would be ready to fight. And that's what the people over there on the continent are. Your father's or your mother's cousin's daughter. You know, somebody separated or they come from down south, they steal your cousin, somebody run up on them, you be ready to fight. So if we unite on the commonality of our ancestors was taken from one place and separated throughout the world, then you'll stop all this division. And when you stop all that division, we can unite, work together, and then the whole world can give us what they owe us. Not just America, not just Canada, not just South America, not just the United States and Canada, South and Central America, the entire world. What they call the free world, the civilized nations of the world. They had people that look like me and you in bondage. So if you want to do this, it's the only way to get it done. Period. It is no, oh no, man, you got to, no, we can't do that, because when they fight you, they unite. When people are trying to move into your slot, they unite. Again, I'm going to quote John Leguizamo on the show that I said I was never going to watch again, but somehow last Friday I ended up watching it. It's a show called Real Time with Bill Maher. And John Leguizamo, a Puerto Rican brother from New York, and he said, it's 32 million people Latinx that are registered to vote. It's 30 million black people. And he didn't say it was 32 Puerto Ricans. He said Latinx. That includes Central American, South American, or the Dominicans, Mexicans, Guatemalans, or whatever. It's 32 million of them. But again, they united from all different places all over the Western Hemisphere to say 32 million. It's 30 million of the people who ancestors were put on death camps and called slaves. That are what they call foundational blacks right now. So if you're willing to team up with the enemy and say, it's 32 million of us, when it's really 32 million of 30 million of us, with no teaming up. Just imagine if we teamed up with the Haitians, if we teamed up with the Bohemians, if we teamed up with the people from the continent, how many of us would it be? You talk about maybe 100 million people now. You undefeated then. And another book, I told you I was going to start giving y'all books. Another book that came out this week that is paramount, that a lot of us read. Because a lot of us, reading ain't everybody thing, man. Get the audio joints. But reading ain't everybody thing. So I understand that. I'm a nerd. I talk sports and I'm loud and I'm bombastic and it might not seem like it, but I'm a nerd. It's a book called Kidnapping Club. This is a story. These are the horrific stories of what you know as this movie, 12 Years a Slave. It's a group of white men kidnapping young people. See, because they kidnap young people because the game of indentured servitude, because I don't call our ancestors slaves. That game is best suited for younger people. There's a story in this book. The story in this book that a 7-year-old boy was in school in the 1820s, maybe even earlier, but I'm going to say 1820s. A cop walks into this young man's classroom. We need to talk to you. They take this young brother, our ancestor now, ship him down to Virginia or Alabama or Mississippi or Georgia or wherever a welcoming plantation was, and reinstitute the process of slavery. This young man was born free. Born free. but they put him in bondage. And in the city of New York, that was an industry. That's why the book is called The Kidnapping Club. Because it was judges, it was attorneys, it was cops, elected officials, it was firemen grabbing up young brothers and sisters, shipping them away. Before you know it, you know how kids disappear now? They was doing that back then, but they was putting you in the bondage. And then it was a situation on Wall Street. That's how Wall Street was funded. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? So, and they wouldn't walk up to you and say, hey, you're a runaway. Because back then, sisters and brothers was walking around with weapons. And if you walk up to me and say, I'm a runaway, I'm going to end you. And that's what time it is. See, it wasn't no cameras on every corner. It wasn't no internet. It wasn't none of that. So I'm going to deal with you, and then I'm going to move. Because you have people moving west, adapting to the languages, and then you'll never be seen again. So this is an industry that's going on. So why everybody always goes, see, you escape to the north and you're safe. No. Because you still had enemies up there capturing brothers and sisters who they thought were uppity, who they thought was acting too good. I bet you it's his brother named John Horse. They're not running up on John Horse, because John Horse was an upright brother, as we call it, cock diesel, big swole brother. And if he saw you, yes, a bossing and no, some bossing, he jack you up, straighten your back, look people in the eye, be a man. But see, you only hear about, you have to look away if a white man look you in the eye. See, there was brothers back then who instilled pride in his other brothers. You just wasn't kowtowing and bowing down to the establishment like that. But they teach you that. Even people like Bill Duke, and no respect, nothing but honor and respect to the elder Bill Duke. He said in his lifetime, if it was you walking down the street, you had to get off the curb when the white man was walking towards you, a white family. But that wasn't the entire case. That was some of the cases. But see, again, this is why we have to instill this in our friends, family members, and especially our young people. Because, like I said about a month ago, what makes me want to throw up in somebody's face is when I see people wearing these t-shirts. I ain't my ancestors signed these hands. You know what? You not. Because our ancestors wouldn't be on damn Instagram telling people who they are. They was out here doing the work. Another thing, I want people to look up this New York City, Seneca Village. Seneca Village. I'm gonna leave it in the chat room so you can see it. It's gonna shock you. I'm not even gonna tell you what it is. I'm just gonna leave breadcrumbs for you. You go down that watering hole, you go down in that rabbit hole, and you'll find some interesting information about Seneca Village. Seneca Village is now known as Central Park. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to leave that. I'm going to leave it in the chat room, and so you can see what Seneca Village is, okay? I'm going to leave it in the chat room. I'm not. If you're listening, you got the village, but if you're in the chat room, you just got an eyeful of what Seneca Village is. I'm sure you can read that and listen to my big mouth at the same time. See, these are the reasons I want to offer my brothers and sisters this information, because you never knew what Seneca Village was. And guess what? It's this rapper goes by the name of Old Dirty Bastard. He spoke about this in one of his rhymes, but because of his wild style, you thought he was just rambling again. No, but his grandfather was one of these people. And if y'all see it, founded in 1825 by free black Americans. They don't teach you that. See, the reason they don't teach you these things is because when you know these things, it gives you the power.